program sponsored by the PAR Center for Ethics, the UNC Faculty and Staff Black Caucus, and the Black Student Movement. I am Jan Boxell, Director of the PAR Center for Ethics. The PAR Center is the public face and commitment to the university's commitment to ethics. It sponsors research, teaching, and discussion of ethical issues that are important to the university and the communities it serves. Our goal is to support and encourage attention to ethics and to explore and advance our understanding of ethical issues. It is with this in mind that the PAR Center is sponsoring programs throughout the academic year, but this year on money and American values. Each month we focus on a specific topic, and this month happens to be sports and athletics. Tonight we've gathered a distinguished panel to discuss the respect and revolution of the Black athlete. After their discussion, we will open it up to questions, and I'm sure you'll have lots of them. At this time, let me introduce to you the moderator for this evening's program, Professor Deborah Stroman. She will introduce our program and our panelists. Dr. Stroman teaches in the Sports Administration program and specializes in the Department of Exercise and Sports Science here at UNC. She also developed the Applied Leadership program, which enables students to participate in the experiential education activities of sports management. Please welcome Dr. Deborah Stroman.
Welcome to this wonderful evening. I feel very, very privileged to be in front of you tonight on such a timely topic. And I'm sure there are many reasons that made you want to come out tonight and listen to this distinguished panel. And you're not going to hear much from me tonight. I have two purposes tonight. Number one, to have you think critically about the Black athlete today. I know you've been watching the media. You've seen a number of negative portrayals. You've seen some positive things. But I want you to think critically about the experience academically and athletically around the Black athlete. The second purpose tonight is to have you be engaged. Again, we have a wonderful panel, and we'd like to hear from you. So after my initial question, I'd like to open it up to the audience and ask you to state your name, stand, and ask your question. Feel free to be engaged with this group. So how about if we begin? I'll start off with Mr. Hitchcock. How about if you tell us what you're up to nowadays?
My name is Jimmy Hitchcock. I was here in 1995. Now today I help people lose weight. I work for a nutritional health and nutrition company, and that's what I'm doing today.
LaChina?
My name is LaChina Robinson. I am a 2002 graduate of Wake Forest. I played women's basketball there. I remember Carmichael being my favorite place to play because the rims were soft and I always got a good bounce. I started my career in sports administration upon leaving Wake Forest. I worked at the ACC for a year and then went on to work at Georgia Tech with their women's basketball program in administrative capacity. 3 years ago, I left athletic administration to pursue career television, and I'm now a freelance reporter and analyst for women's basketball on ESPN as well as Fox and NBA TV. I also work on the NBA package with NBA TV, doing some voice overs, and also some social media corresponding work. So excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
My name is Dwight Hollier. I'm a 91 graduate of UNC. Played 9 years in the NFL. What I do now is I'm a mental health counselor, and the way I got to that position was I was originally a speech communications major here. And I realized once I got into that major how terrified I was of public speaking. But I'm in this degree and I have to finish it. So I remember going through those classes and doing plays and having to give presentations, and after every presentation I walk out of the room and I'm shaking, and I've got big giant pit stains, and my face, I developed a facial tic from being so afraid of speaking. So I said, you know, it's probably not the field I'm going to be in. So I decided to take some other courses and ended up double majoring, psychology and speech communications. And psychology speaks to me a little bit. I think I do better one-on-one than I do in big groups. Now I'm a mental health counselor, been in the field for 10 years. Again, I retired in 2000, and it was 2001, 1 year after I got my master's degree. So I worked on and completed my master's degree in counseling while playing for Miami Dolphins.
Gary?
Gary Stackhouse,
1995, graduated in 2000. I've been playing the last 16 years at the NBA, and hopefully have another season this year. You know, things work out, but right now I'm kind of transitioning out of professional sports into the real world, and I'm working with NBA TV. I work with CBS College Sports doing analyst work, and also embarking on a new public speaking endeavor, and I'm here to hopefully share.
Thank you, thank you. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Jimmy Hitchcock being not only a great student athlete here, but also this room that we're sitting in is named for Jimmy Hitchcock for all of his work he did as an activist here. He not only excelled on the field, but he excelled off the field, and making sure that particular issues were brought to the forefront of not only UNC administration, but the Board of Trustees, the Board of Governors. So I'd like to thank Jimmy Hitchcock. With that being said, how about if we get started? What do you see? What do you perceive are the main issues or barriers to being a scholar athlete, having that academic and athletic excellence, and being an activist? Jerry?
I think that one of the most important or the issues is time. I think from my standpoint as an athlete coming into the time that I had to devote to my particular sport and all the obligations that I had there didn't allow for a lot of times to be. I knew of Jimmy as an activist when I was here in school, and the things that didn't necessarily know all the time what he was being an activist of, but I knew him. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about issues that was going on in the black community on this campus, Jimmy knew about it, and and a couple other guys that kind of stood out. And so I think it's not only an issue of whether to, the issues of being an activist or from my standpoint, I don't know if it's actually being an activist as an athlete. Is that where you should be? And that's what you should do, is where you should focus. I was so focused on getting to that, that level of competing and all kind of self-importance. And that's what we all kind of struggle with coming into college, kind of self-importance, our own, agenda and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. And then I went through that through a long course of my my career, constantly trying to chase a fantasy of getting to something else until I finally, probably halfway through, I kind of lost that self-importance and even changed my role. Then came into, and that's when I really started to enjoy, my process and what was going on. So I encourage you to not only, think about enjoying it, as opposed to putting so much pressure on yourself to compete, for grades and compete and wins and losses in the game. Kind of enjoy the ride and observe what's going on. I think that's one of the biggest.
I would agree and piggyback off of what Jerry said. Time is one of the biggest barriers of student athlete. And I think it's something that, as a high school senior coming into college, you don't understand the demands of a student athlete in college. You're not on a regular schedule. The guy in your same hallway, your roommate maybe, is not going to have the same schedule that you have as a student athlete. And so as a student athlete, you may be getting up at 6 a.m. for a campus run, or you may have to go to study hall in the afternoons. Your time is going to be so regimented, or your time is so regimented, I'm talking to student athletes, your time is so regimented that being an activist and finding time for yourself is difficult. It's difficult. And so one of the things that you have to do, and again, piggybacking off of what Jerry says, is you have to find time to enjoy your experience. It is 4 years, and it goes fast. And enjoy your experience. And it is so wrapped up and so covered in, I got to get this done, I got to achieve this, I got to be here, I got to be there. Then you're going to miss them. You're going to miss the boat. You're going to miss your experience. And again, it goes fast, and when it's gone, you want it back. Trust me. It's 20 years for me this year, and I want it back.
I am the only college graduate. My dad has a 8th grade education. My mother did graduate college, but it was something that was very new to me in terms of being a student athlete. My mother was not an athlete. And so going back into the recruiting process, trying to get, the coaches give you a schedule, like, okay, this is what it's going to look like. You'll have classes, you'll have practice, and you see these wide open blocks of time, And coming from a family, obviously from a different socioeconomic background, not obviously, but different from what I would get to at Wake Forest, there were things and activities that I had never been a part of, never been exposed to. So there's a level of excitement, but you see this opportunity and you see it, as they mentioned, of, okay, you've got academics and you've got your sport, but you've still got time. And when you're not properly educated in the recruiting process by whether it's a coach or whether it's when you come on your official visit, your academic department, sometimes there can be miscommunications. And I think I was grateful to have a mother that picked up a magnifying glass and looked at everything very closely. But I think depending on your background, depending on what the situation is in terms of higher education in your family and how exposed you are to the process of athletics, can really affect what you think you'll be able to do on your campus as an advocate, or what you'll be able to do once you arrive. So I think it's really important to ask questions throughout the process. And that's something, as I even talk to student athletes today, to make sure they are listening to everything that's happening leading up to the point where you sign your name, on that line and commit to play somewhere. Because we all don't have the same experiences and come from the same places and backgrounds, socioeconomically, and so on. So I think as I look at where does it begin, that's a conversation that I think needs to be had more often. And I think coaches have to take on some responsibility as well in communicating those things and being realistic about what the commitment level is for a collegiate student athlete at this level.
Those guys kind of summed it up in a great way about realizing and having fun with the experience. I had a lot of fun with my experience. I got to experience a lot. I came on this campus as a poor child, all right? Very ignorant to